All right. Everybody chime in if you can hear us, see us. I think we've got picture. Anybody watching? Anybody still there? All right. I'm going to go over here and see. All right. You're live. Vesper says we're live.
Okay.
So let's go ahead. Talk.
Hi, I'm Duchess Signy from Atlantia.
And I'm Anton from Atlantia. So we're going to talk to you a little bit today about the challenges that face fighting a taller opponent when you're a shorter opponent. As you can see, Signy's a pretty good example of this. And to be clear, Signy and I have been working with each other for a number of years now, working on techniques that we'll try to demonstrate here today and thoughts on how to do it. So to that point, there's nothing I can ever teach her that's going to make her grow. That's not going to happen. So we have to learn basic techniques that allow her to be successful on the field, because she can be. And she can be as successful as anyone else can be. But she has to approach it from a systematic way that's reproducible. That being said, I think that the first thing that is required when you are a fighter, any fighter, if you want to be really good at this, but especially if you have the challenge of being shorter, is you have to be smart. You're not necessarily ever going to be stronger, faster, heavier, or anything else of your opponent. But there's nothing that prevents you from being the smarter fighter. And learning to fight smart is just as important as learning to throw a blow at a certain spot on a pill. And what we're talking about here is the basic analysis that you do when, if Signy and I line up against each other, if she lines up here, she's probably already lost the fight, because I can hit her and she cannot hit me. I'm safe just by range. So the first thing you have to understand is where to start the fight. One of the things that is pretty universal from everyone I know who fights and is very serious about this is you start out of range with each other. You don't give the other guy a free shot at you. Now, the thing that Signy has to understand in this fight is, what does she get for free in this fight? How do I stand? What looks like a basic style of fighting? Do I look like a kind of fighter that's going to be trying to be a speed merchant? Am I the kind of guy that's going to want to roll in and be a bruiser? What does your basic analysis tell her of how do I want to fight? And for me, through years of just forming opinions that are either good or bad, I've gotten pretty good at guessing what my opponent wants to do. I mean, we all know if he's standing there like this or she's standing like that, you're probably going to get a face thrust to start with. So be prepared for what you think is going to happen. The second thing, and probably the most important thing that Signy has to understand in this fight, is the differences in our height, the differences in our reach, and the differences in our swords. She's on the minus side of this. So if I can reach her from here, and she can't, she's got to cross this range safely. And the part that she's worried about, or the part that she's got to be extra careful about, is the part where I can hit her and she can't hit me. So for me, that is the delta between our height and our sword length and our arm distances that Signy has to always consciously and subconsciously manage. The second thing that I think she has to be prepared for is, as making that crossing, she's going to have to make a block. And it's going to have to be a block that allows her to throw a blow. Because ultimately, the shorter fighter in this situation is most likely going to get their first shot as a counter punch. By counter punch, I mean they get to make a block because they're focused on the block, they're prepared for it, they're going to make the block, and then they're going to be ready to throw a blow, but before they throw a blow, they're going to analyze in their head what is open. Okay? So, Signy, when you are out here, and we're both left-handed,
Yeah.
okay? And I'm I'm standing here from this, what is the shot that you have to be most concerned about from me at this point?
Flat snap onside.
Okay, why?
Because it's the easiest one for you. You're coming down at my head, and it's the off button.
It's also the first shot most people learn to throw.
Right.
It's also the fastest shot in most people's repertoire.
Right.
And it's a shot that works well from range.
Yep.
So, when that shot is coming, you're going to do what? Talk us through what you're going to do.
I'm going to be ready for that shot as it comes in. I'm going to be watching his sword arm, and I'm going to be preparing to block it as I move in. At the same time, I'm going to be thinking, what shot do I want to throw at Anton? Because he's going to immediately do something in response to not hitting me. I've got to be ready for that. So if I were seeing that he was going to move it, throw at my right ear, what I'm going to do is I'm going to block as he throws, and then be ready to throw something like this, or do a wrap to the leg if I think he's going to move around. Something, whatever's open, I'm going to be trying to throw at the best possible target.
So for me, she's going to, at some point, institute a movement, which will bring her into my range, or I'll institute a movement. I will throw the first blow because I will have the range to throw the blow. She has to make the block, then make an analysis of where to throw her blow. What is the one sure way to make sure you don't lose the fight, Signy?
Don't get hit.
Don't get hit, right. So defense is absolutely key, whether you are the tallest fighter or the shortest fighter. Not getting hit ensures you're going to win. Well, ensures you won't lose. Don't know if you're going to win.
It almost doesn't matter if I don't get a shot in the first 2 or 3 that he throws. As long as I can block him and get myself in the position that I need to be in to throw my first blow, where it might be effective, I can wait it out if I have good defense.
So I'm not going to ask Signy to pick up her shield, because if she picks up her shield, you won't see anything on that side. Okay? So we're at range, back up just a tad. And at this point, I cannot hit her, and she can't. Is her leg. But that's not a high percentage shot, because if I throw at her leg from here, all she has to do is pivot and come right down on my arm. But without pulling the shield back.
Okay, yeah.
Right?
Right.
Because you've still got to make a block. Okay. So just installed in your DNA has got to be, if someone from out at range is throwing a leg shot and they're the same arm as you, it's just, you got to take a step.
Okay.
If you do this, you're not going to get there.
Yeah.
Okay? This.
Okay.
I really want you to step further out this way so you get an angle.
Okay.
Okay? Right.
Okay.
You're safe, you've maintained position, and you've come across. Okay. Now, if I throw at the head, she's going to make the shot with the, she's going to block the shot with the shield. Okay? I like a little going to get it.
Okay.
Make sure you've got it.
Right.
Now at this point, what do you see, Signy? What do you want to think about?
Well, I could do a couple things. I could try a low percentage there. That's not going to work. I could come in here because you're up a little bit, or I could try and do a deep wrap if I've got you here.
Okay.
I could move forward and maybe.
No.
See that
Okay.
place trading.
So no. We're gonna put the sword back up here.
Okay.
At this point, you only get one step, and you got to make a throw. Right now, the only shot that's open to you is the leg. Okay, so demonstrate what you would do for a leg. Okay, that's a wrap. That's a good shot, but it's a little high up on the leg.
Okay.
So what I want you to do is make the block, flex your knees so you go down, and squeeze the sword as you throw it, the wrap, so that it's coming right in behind, right above my knee. Okay? A little low, but that's fine. No, let's stay there so the camera can see. That's a much higher percentage shot. So because for me to block that, I have to do this or I have to bend. But no matter what happens, it's going to affect the way I return a sword because you've caused me to make a movement.
Right.
Okay? So, same thing. Take the shot. No, don't. Just relax.
Okay.
Take the shot, make the block. At this point, how do you come to my head? Tell everybody what you're going to do first.
I'm gonna move, I'm gonna take a step here, and I'm gonna throw a flat snap at his head.
Right.
A rising flat snap at his head.
Now, I think your sword's a little low.
Okay.
When you're making the block. Your sword, you're carrying it around your waist now.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Right.
So,
So, too close. Boom. Okay.
right. Now, for some reason, he blocks it, I don't get it. It's gonna be a come
Right.
on here.
But you're throwing both those shots flat. So try to do this here
Okay.
so that it's edge on. Boom.
Boom. Boom.
Okay.
Now, range is an issue here.
Turn around and talk.
Range is an issue if I'm throwing at somebody's head who's taller than me. I can't throw my arm up here and expect to reach him. It has to be here. So if I'm gonna do a higher up shot, I've gotta make sure that I'm close enough to do that shot and do it effectively, but not so close that I can't get any oomph on it.
So for purposes of this, you're going to come over the shield here and hit me in the right ear.
Okay.
Close to a range that you're comfortable, so you don't have to move. Okay. Now, throw the shot slowly. Elevating the hand, getting it up. The hand's got to clear this basket, this shield edge here. If it doesn't clear this, drop it down some.
Yeah.
If you drop throwing it like that, it's going to be automatically blocked
Right.
because this is a straight line. And if you dip the basket hilt down, it won't be good. So for a shorter fighter, it's important to understand this very simple technique here. Hands got to go up. The basket hilt is now your height. It's not your real height.
Right.
So that you can land a blow like that. There's nothing that stops you from being up here and driving back down. There's nothing that stops you from being up here and going offside. All of those are fine, but you're not going to be effective challenging the shoulder or the head of the taller opponent.
I mean, I can hit it from here, but that's how I'm gonna hit it.
It's not going to be good.
Right. If I do this, then I can get a good shot at it. So you've got to be aware of range when you're fighting a taller fighter.
Okay, so we've looked at the fighter. We realize that the fighter is probably going to be a bruiser. They're going to be wanting to close ground, get in close with you,
Right.
and just be bigger and stronger than you. What do you do in that situation? What's your mentality for how you want to start that fight, and what do you want to do?
I want to get them moving at me, and I want to counterpunch them. A bigger fighter, a lot of times, is a little bit slower on their feet. At least they will be over time. I want to see how he's going to move, and I'm going to look for the first opening I can. So, if you're a really big guy and you're a static fighter, I'm a lefty. It gives me a lot more opportunities to figure out what you're going to do. If I'm quicker on my feet, then, I'm just ready. I'm ready to move after I see where you're going to go.
Okay, so a couple things there that I think are dangerous. If I'm quicker on my feet, assume you're not. If you want to win the fight, assume you're not. Assume that you're going to have better range control. That you're going to maintain this range control, and you're going to define the fight even though they're coming at you.
Right.
To do that, you have to realize that they're coming in to bruise. They may throw something here,
Right.
up here, to bring your shield up so that it's blocked.
Yeah.
But ultimately, they're coming in here to get into here with you.
Right.
At here, they feel like they have all the advantages. They're taller, they're heavier, they can push on you and do that sort of thing. So for me, what I would like to see Her Grace do is very simply, I'm going to throw this shot, I'm going to step in, and as I'm stepping, I'd like to see her move this way so that she can use my big shield to her advantage. Now, she's made up a mistake. Stay there. She's too close because I've already made contact.
Right.
That's all I got to do. So she allowed my movement and her movement, which looked good at a range, to look like she was going on the right intersection. But she's got to keep this range until she has position. So if I'm here and I throw this shot and now I step, once again, too close. You're not gonna, you're on my shield side. You're gonna have to maintain range to where you can get to something. So maybe not such a big step, because this is done
Right.
at 30-minute increments instead of full hours.
Right.
Boom. I see you move. I'm gonna make the adjustment. Now I'm gonna come. It's better. This is not easy to do, but at this point, she's not really established a good position to throw from,
Right.
because I'm cocked.
Right.
So she can't throw the leg at this point without me throwing this. Pretty safe.
Yep.
Okay? Now, let's go back. We're going to do the same thing, except I throw the block.
Yeah.
I come. Now, at this point, she can throw the leg. Right? Absolutely safe. And now, come right up and throw the offside. That's a pretty simple movement phase. 1-2 steps, and it's using the forward momentum of the guy who wants to be bigger and stronger against you
Yep.
to be more effective. Now, if he's coming in and he hasn't thrown a blow, do you think you can do the flat snap, take a step back, and take it right into a face thrust?
If he hasn't thrown a blow, no.
Yes, you can.
Okay.
Right, I want you to throw a flat snap,
Onside.
and yes, it's the only kind.
Okay.
Throw the flat snap. He's either going to hit it or he's not. As he comes in, boom. Now you've got to give ground
Okay.
as you throw, not backwards, not sideways, backwards.
Okay.
Boom. Now rotate for your return. No, you were going into a face thrust.
Oh, sorry. Yes, thank you. Sorry.
Okay.
Okay.
So this, you're just trying to slow down this entry coming in.
Right.
Shields, hands too low. You see, it's not really a threat.
Right.
That's better.
Okay.
Now, you've got to gain some ground back and get ready for your face thrust. Okay? And then, as I come right in. With a lot more practice, that becomes smooth. Because the secret of this isn't the offense with the sword. It's all about the foot movement.
Yeah.
How does Her Grace have enough time to know when to execute these things? It comes to understanding the guy's not going to throw. He's just trying to get in close. Boom. Throw a suppression blow in there. You hit him good. Make it a real blow. Boom. Okay.
Okay. I'll throw a real blow. Sorry.
No. So I want her in a real fight to throw a real blow. I'm trying to stress the fact that this is not a blow you're just giving away. You're going to throw this blow, flat snap, as if you're trying to kill him, right? Because you have to.
Right.
Boom. Let's see here. We want to throw the blow. At practice with each other.
Okay. All right.
That's under control.
Okay.
Okay? It's not a contest to see if you can hit my sword hard enough out of armor. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So if I come in, you throw the blow.
Yeah.
But you've thrown it without moving your feet. So I'm too close. You don't
Right.
get 2-3 movement phases more than me.
Okay.
Right?
Right.
So the trick is, can you throw that blow backing up? Right, of course you can.
Yeah.
Now, you've gained some more distance. I've done it, and now you're coming right into the thrust. Okay? That's the purpose, but you can see on the video that this takes a lot of footwork practice, and it's not easy to do. Okay. So, let's take a little bit of a break from that, and I'm going to bring this excellent Pell tool that Cuan has made, and I find this very useful. It helps us in lots of occasions, and I'm going to ask Dana to walk through some of her Pell katas that she does, and the reasoning behind it, and how she, and what she's thinking and what the target areas are.
Okay.
Okay?
So, a couple of things that we've been working on have been some of the higher headshots, an onside and an offside, and then we've been working on moving in and throwing a wrap shot as well. And if I can do a wrap shot, I mean a snap this high, if I can do an offside this high, if I can come in and get a wrap shot at the correct height, I can do it at any height. Obviously, as a smaller fighter, you're going to need to practice these a lot because everybody's taller than I am. So, just like Anton said, a snap is a flat snap is really the first flow that everybody should learn. And you can do it over your head if you do it correctly. If you do it incorrectly, you're going to throw your shoulder out and you're going to be in a world of hurt. So it's worth it to think about the mechanics of this shot and practice it slowly before you do it. But you can throw it over your head with a lot of power if you do it correctly. We start with the basket hilt right about the ear because this protects me from incoming blows. And I've got it in a ready position. You're ready to block if you need to. And my knees are a little bit bent, my feet aren't that far apart. And as I come up, you can see that the hand goes up, the elbow comes in, the sword is flat, and it's ready to hit the target, just like that. Well, this is why we practice, right?
Can you do it without moving the shield out of the way?
All right, let me step in here for a second because Duke Branos, hi Branos. Branos just asked a question about the Pell tool. The reason that I made this, that you can hang any kind of shield on, I was going to make one with a piece of plywood, and I was like, well, just make it so you can hang any kind of shield, is so that you can be honest with yourself when you're doing your Pell work.
Yeah.
If the idea is that, and I can raise this up or down just by changing where the shield strap is hanging, I can put another screw in the back of the stand. What I did was, I took some 1x2, some of it treated, some of it untreated. I just took some 1x2 and some deck screws, and I made a stand that looks just like this. You can see it's got. You can see it's got a base that's also just a frame of 1x2s. And then this gives it a little bit of frame. It's not meant to get hit. That's the whole point. You set the shield up as you think your opponent's going to hold their shield at the height you want to hold. You can put a screw in anywhere here and just hold the hand strap where you want it, or the back strap. On this occasion, I've just perched the forearm strap on the back of this support. Then if I'm fighting a righty, I put it in front of the righty about the way he would hold his shield, and I can angle it. And now, what I know is, as a righty, if I want to know if I can get this shot in here, well, now I know I can't from this angle, right? So now I know that if I'm fighting this guy, and his shield's in this position, and I want to throw that, right? I may have an offside head all day. I may have a high flat snap all day. But to get that, there's going to have to be a movement to the side to get that cut into the leg with the offside. So that's why I made it. That's all it is. And it's really to help Signy, being left-handed particularly, to be able to know that when Anton's trying to talk to her about, you step in and you throw the wrap or whatever. Don't watch my left hand, but when you throw the wrap, are you getting it there? Are you getting around the shield? Or when you throw the offside, see that? I didn't get clearance. But that's how you determine your hand's high enough. The other thing I want to point out when we're doing this is, the shorter you are, the closer you have to be to get your hand high enough to hit a taller opponent in the head. Okay? So, if you're shorter and you're fighting out here, and you notice your hand is rotating all the way up like this, it's because you're not close enough and you're ending up flatting. Same thing's true on the offside. What happens is you extend the arm on the offside and you end up throwing flat like that. Okay? So, if you're short and you want to get up tall, you got to be closer so you can make this, you can make the elbow come through, and you can roll the back of your hand over so you're actually hitting on edge and you're getting all that force going into the target, right? Into the target. And that's true whether it's a punching offside or a draw shot where you throw your hand out to the side because you're tight, right? You've got to make sure that your hand is palm down or palm up, okay? So that's the Pell tool. We can hang any kind of shield on it you want. You can put a little screw on the front to hang a center grip on it. And you're not going to beat up the shield or the stand because that's not the point. The point is to get to the target behind the, however they're standing, however you're standing. The key is to get to the target. I use it to cut behind the front corner with this one, you know. So.
All right.
Okay. So from Ingegerd Castanranzi,
Hey.
she is asking, what is your favorite combo to lead with to close that distance you guys were talking about?
Let me answer.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
There is no favorite combo. This is where we're going to next, so this is a great question. I believe in my heart of hearts, and I've tried to make Signy believe in her heart of hearts, there is no pre-described answer when you start to fight. So if I'm right-handed, she's left-handed, and I throw a blow up and she blocks it with her sword, I want Signy to be ready with, able to move, make an analysis, and pick the right target. Just throwing a pre-described combination assumes either you've analyzed the fighter completely while sitting on the sidelines and you know exactly where they're going. That's not much of a fight. Typically that would be an experienced fighter with an inexperienced fighter, so you don't get any credit for that. But what I want you to do is pick the target, because we're not trying to see who can throw the most blows. We're trying to see who can throw the first killing blow. And to do that, I'm going to drop my sword low on this return, and I'm going to kick my shield over as if I'm a righty, and Signy is going to make a read that tells her which blow she wants to go to next. So she gets a free blow. As soon as this pressure comes off her sword, she gets to have a slight movement, and she gets to have offense. Not the right choice. I said I was moving the shield over this side. What does she want to throw? She throws right into it. Well, back up. You don't get to cheat and go to the next answer. Go back. Going to do the same thing again.
Yeah.
Boom. Maybe. It's up kind of high.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Let's try it and go offside.
Okay.
With much, your movement cannot be faster than the sword blow is moving.
Okay.
You're not that person.
Okay.
Boom. Exactly. You get that for free. For me to throw a blow at her at this point, I've got to come around my own sword if I don't move my own shield, if I don't move my sword. And hers is completely free. Now the thing that I would like her to do when she does that, go back, is I'm going to throw out here, she's going to block it. I'm going to release. As she makes this movement past her, I want her just not to push my shield, just to give a tap as that sword comes over the back edge. By doing that, just a little prick, and I mean just hold your hand up, just that. Now hold it with some resistance, just that. I'm not looking to push her over. All I want is for the thickness of this sword to cross this edge with that fighter having a little bit less control than they normally would have. It's just a touch, just a touch. Boop, boop, just a pop. So, back up. This time, I'm going to throw at her leg, okay? I'm going to open with a leg wrap to her front leg, because that's her shield leg. It's forward. I can see it, okay? So I'm going to come down. I'm going to throw my wrap, and she's going to make a block, okay? This, I don't know if you want to make the block that way,
Okay, yeah.
or just simply drop your left leg back,
Okay.
back. That's your right leg,
Oh, my left leg back. Yeah.
back, and just let the shield pick it up.
Okay.
Okay. Get back in front of me. Okay. I'm going to throw it slow. Boom. This she gets for free. Now, hold on. The sword is still in contact. She's going to analyze at this point. So as she gets to analyze what's open on me, as I start to return, wasn't open.
Okay.
Okay?
So,
Leg,
yeah.
better shot,
Yep.
but lower down,
Okay.
right? The idea of being able to throw leg shots, this is, at different times in the SCA, leg shots are more popular or less popular. They're always popular with me as a lefty, so I believe in them. So, the drill we talked about last time when Cuan and I were doing this together is we talked about a drill that I learned from Duke Michael, which is two fighters are standing here with each other, and it's Signy's turn to throw leg blows at me. She's just going to throw them, and that's flat. You can touch my leg. Okay, so middle. Good. 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 Getting a little high. Yeah, okay. Keep it low. Yep. But you see, she's cheating a little bit. Because she's bringing it down like this. I'd like to see Signy put a little more flex in it if she's just going to throw a flat snap so the blade can come across straighter. It's going to be much harder for me to block that than throw the angle. I can come over here and get this.
Right.
It's very hard for this old fat man to get down low enough to block it by flexing my knees. Okay? So now I want her to not move her feet and throw the wraps just like that. Way too high. That's a hip. Way too high. That's better. It's low, but it's okay. You're going to hit each other low doing this. You're going to hit each other low a lot doing this. You're going to hit each other in the shin. But here's the trick. Now, to add the correct complexity to it, what I really want Signy to be able to do, and this is what we'll come to with this drill, is if I'm holding this shield like this, I want her to know where to throw at my leg without looking. And the tell is right here. This corner is the tell. If I'm holding this shield up like this to overprotect my head, my leg is open. If I'm holding it down like this, my shield is telling me my leg is covered, but my head is open on either side. So without having to look at your opponent, once you've made a movement phase in halfway to getting there, if that shield goes up, it's an automatic leg shot. Automatic. Because they can't block it without making a movement. So you don't want to throw at the head at this point because the head's blocked without. Throw the head. It's blocked automatically because they put the shield there. So this is where, and I see a lot of fighters go, well, I'm going to throw the onside head to set up the offside head. So do that slow.
So easy.
Without even moving the shield, it's just do it again. Boom. It's just that. Whereas if you can throw the leg and then come up to the offside head, that's a much more complicated move to have to block against. And that's where we're talking about take what you get for free. You want to add something, Grace?
Yeah, Ingrid, you were asking about combinations. Let me be clear. I'm gonna get one without a basket. There is no particular combination for the smaller fighter entering against the larger fighter because there can't be a commitment. There's no road answer to addressing this problem because is the bigger fighter just wider? Does he just hit really hard but he's slow? Is he tall?
Wider is different than taller.
Is he tall and fast? What shield shape do they use? Are they right leg lead or their left leg lead? Is that going to switch as soon as you take a step? All of that changes. What doesn't change is in most SCA tournaments, it's it only takes one good shot to kill you. So you need to make sure, as the smaller fighter who has range disadvantages, who has arm length disadvantages, who has height disadvantages, that you stay alive to where you can throw that one shot. Okay? So, when you're fighting somebody who likes to headhunt from range, okay, then you're going to set your shield and maybe even your sword depending on what you need to survive, you're going to set them differently than somebody who stands back here with the sword behind their shoulder and is waiting to hit you in the back of your collarbone, right? You know, they're waiting for you to come in so they can do this, you know, and hit you in the back of the collarbone. So there is no one-size-fits-all answer. I think what Anton and Signy are trying to get to tonight is that number one is stay alive, right? Number one is stay alive when you're coming in, and you have to be able to absorb a couple of blows. So what's going to happen when that guy who's opening gambit is to blast your shield as hard as he can? You know, what's going to happen when that happens? And what should happen is you just take it on the shield, or avoid it entirely, depending on how good your movement is, and then you go about your business. So yeah, easier said. Okay, well, there's a couple of ways to make sure that that's you know, a more likely outcome. One of them is I don't want to see you lean forward. I don't want to see you lean forward on your front leg. I don't want to see you look at the ground as you hunker. If you try and hunker down behind your shield and look down, if you look down, that's where your force is going to go. That's where your energy is going to go.
It's one of the big mistakes a shorter fighter almost always makes is to tuck the shield corner up and duck the helmet down behind it.
Yeah, and that's not going to work. You need to keep your head on a swivel, as the coaches used to say. You need to keep your eyes level. You need to have your vision on your opponent's sword hand, and you need to keep your vision level, and you need to keep your torso centered over your hips. If your weight gets too far forward or too far back, another thing smaller fighters do when they feel like they're going to be overwhelmed by a larger fighter is they tend to lean back sometimes. That's also bad because now your feet are nailed to the floor.
Yeah.
You can't go anywhere. Okay? So really what you want to think about is, how am I going to get from back here? You know, if the camera's my opponent, how are you going to get from back here to where I can hit that camera? Mm-hmm. And so there is no combination that's going to get you there. It all depends on what length sword is your opponent using. Is he a thruster? You need to watch as much fighting as you can. You get a big war, it depends if you're a Gulf Force. You need to watch what they do so you can detect tendencies, okay? And then you need to have a tight defense on the way in, right? So Branos is watching. I know Branos is much shorter than I am, right? But nobody gets from C to A faster than Branos, okay? It's not because he's a sprinter. Sorry, Branos. It's not because he's a sprinter. It's because he's developed footwork and timing that allows him to do a gather step with his back leg that most opponents don't notice, and then very quickly move from C, and for those who don't know the terminology I'm using, move very quickly from C range, which is at the edge of effective fighting range, into close B or A, depending on what he wants to do. Usually it's B, right? Where he can then work his combinations, okay?
So,
Does that make sense?
as the smaller fighter here, I'll say that I guess the best opening combination is defense and then more defense. But like he said, it is fatal if I look down and cower, because everybody's looking down on me. They can see the top of my head. They can see every movement I make. I can't see them, and I'm going to be a sitting duck. One of the things that just occurred to me while we were talking is that as a short fighter, sometimes your best option for defense and for starting an offensive blow is to make sure that you make yourself a little bit smaller. You can bend your knees to get down, but don't do this, right? You can hold you want to be in that balanced position, but if Anton is throwing a shot at my leg, I can squat down rather than going rather than bending down like this.
You always want to sit on a bar stool instead of poke your butt out.
I want to
Nobody wants to sit down like that. You want to go straight down.
I want to be able to see him while I'm fighting over the edge of my shield. And if he throws a high blow, I'm still watching him. I'm looking at him right here, right? So I need to keep my eyes on him.
As a shorter fighter, I see more short fighters make a very common mistake. They blind themselves.
Okay, to blind yourself is just like fighting in a swimming pool, if you've ever done that. The first guy to go underwater loses, no matter how good he is. Because no one's going to throw a blow at you while you're underwater. They're going to wait for the bubbles to stop, and then you're going to come up and you're going to get hit.
Right.
We learned this with Lucan and Gregor in a lake one day. It didn't matter how good you were, whoever went underwater lost.
Sure.
So,
Go ahead.
Misty Edmondson did have a question for what you guys were talking about earlier when you were talking about the leg shots.
Yeah.
She said, is there a reason that she doesn't take a small step to put herself in a better position to shoot the leg, or is the drill supposed to be static?
The drill is supposed to be static, and one of the things that you have to learn as a new, medium, and even old fighter is you have to constantly reteach yourself range. You have to make sure that you understand where you are at range. That understanding is what makes all the difference in the world. So, right now we're talking about Dana being the shorter fighter, okay? It's not always that way. You can say, well, who's ever taller than who's ever shorter than Dana? Well, take your shield down first. You can't see if you've got that. Yep. So, throw the leg shot. Okay, boom. I go down. Now who's the taller fighter? This is where an awful lot of shorter people make a very critical mistake. They have not practiced this, and they are now the taller fighter. Even if she was fighting Duke Anton from the middle, she's going to be the taller fighter at this point. Maybe head level, but close.
Barely.
Close.
Barely.
I think he's actually still taller than me.
So all of the techniques that she's practiced, all of her time on this video has been what to do when the shorter fighter is shorter.
Yeah.
Now we're going to call upon her of what to do. You've legged them. You've done everything that you're supposed to do. What do you do with somebody when they're down here?
Yeah.
Right? Now, it's particularly hard in this occasion because we're both lefties and it's just not natural to watch things like that. But this is a real occurrence and it happens all the time. We see it at practices. And what we see the result of practice is this. You fight and you work hard with each other. Thank you.
You will be down there for any. Are they both in frame?
So,
Yes.
you fight in practice, and you and Bevan fight for 15, 20 minutes in practice. And you get to the point where, good leg, I'm not going to take it. If you don't take it and you don't practice it, you're not helping your opponent because they're not learning to fight from their knees.
Right.
And they're not helping you because you're not learning how to fight standing up against their knees.
And it freaks me out. It freaked me out the first time I fought somebody on their knees. I didn't know what to do, and I lost the fight. So.
We won't talk about how to fight from your knees and how to attack somebody from their knees at this point, but this is just a reference is that the shorter fighter is only the shorter fighter until they take the legs. I'm only the taller fighter until I fight Cuan. Now I'm the shorter fighter.
Right.
But everything that we're focused on here is being a smaller, lighter fighter. The smaller, lighter fighter, I believe, has to be the smarter fighter to consistently win. You have to understand your range. You have to make good decisions. You have to throw blows at openings and not just throw blows at zones. Throwing a set number of combinations may look nice from the sideline, but they're probably not going to be as successful as I made a block. I came off it. I threw this as a shot. They had to make a big block with their sword. That means their sword is now tied up. I can now come back down here and throw something else. The whole thing you're doing is you're going to be what I call being intentional. When you go in to fight, be intentional. Be intentional to get in, go for openings, keep your feet moving at all times, do not stay stagnant in front of an opponent, and when it's time to leave, leave intentionally. Don't take a half step back and stop. Get out. Out means you're out. You heard Cuan say C range. Out means D range. They can't hit you without a step. That's where you're allowed to stop and go, wow, what did I learn in that? Well, they did this and this, but I missed a shot, so if I can reset that up again, I know that's open. Or nothing I did work, but I'm alive, so that means I get another shot at this.
Right.
Okay?
Anton, can we take a second?
Yes.
Just while we're there, you don't have to get up. While we're there, okay, so the terminology that we're using, because it's the way we were taught years and years ago, is you got A, B, C, and D range, okay? D range is where Signy cannot hit me, okay? That's her D range. That is not my D range, okay? My C range is her D range. That's important for a small fighter to remember.
And
Right?
we talked about that earlier, but we didn't stress it quite enough.
Okay.
Yes.
So D range is where she can't hit her opponent.
Range
Okay?
is personal.
Right.
It's personal to the fighter. All right. C range is where she can hit me, but it's at the limit of her effective range to strike me. Okay. And B range is a little bit closer. Okay. This is that mid range. This is where the best fighters can make a living. Okay. And then you have A range, which is where we're standing on each other's toes. Okay. We're right in close. All right. So that's and again, those ranges are different depending on whether you're Edmund or Al-Anon, or whether you're, Signy or Wolverine, right? It's different, okay? So it's very important that you know those differences, and so that when we're talking about them, you understand what we mean. We're talking about getting. So when we say Signy wants to start in D range, wants to start out of range, right? That's what they started talking about. That means out of my D range. That means in my D range, right?
That's my E range.
She does not want to be where I can reach, because step just a little bit closer. Step just a little bit closer. Don't move backward. See, right here, I can still hit Signy. She cannot hit me, but I can hit her. I can hit her in the temple from here, okay, but she can't hit me, right? Okay? Now, she moves in just a little bit, half step. All right, can you hit me now?
No.
Still can't,
Right.
okay? So she's still crossing my range, all right? Now, moving a little bit more, just a hair, okay? That's probably her C range, okay? She can hit me flat like that. They're all flat. Turn your hand.
They're all flat.
All right. She can hit me in the head from here, okay? Not with an offside. An offside is one range behind an onside range.
One range closer.
Yeah.
Okay. So an offside, and the reason for that is simple, right? When you throw an onside blow, your hand is coming out and your sword shoulder goes forward, right? So that's your longest range. And if you step with it, it becomes a really long range. I used to throw a stepping flat step all the time. Paul teaches it. It's in his book, his videos. Okay? All right? But an offside blow, by the same token, because you're throwing across your body, your sword shoulder is going back, right? That's a shorter blow, okay? By definition. Now you can take steps, but still, all things being equal, offside blows are shorter range than onside blows. Okay, so she would not open with an offside blow to the head. She would throw a flat snap to my head from there, and have plenty enough to reach the temple there. Okay, all right. Okay, so those are the ranges. So what she's got to do, grab your shield. What she's got to be able to do is she's got to be able to get now back up to your heel touches the porch there. All right. So she's going to start. If she's going to start where I can't kill her, it's an advantage, right? She's not going to get one shot, right? But and she's a lefty, so I'm going to camp my foot over this way a little bit, so I have this all set up, right? But she's got to come get to me. Now she knows that as she crosses this no man's land, I'm going to get at least one shot. All right. So she has to be set up, but her feet can't get too wide, right? If she leaps in like this, then she may block the shot.
But
She
then
may block,
where
go back, I'm demoing. If she goes in like this, she gets too wide, she gets hit, she gets knocked over, she can't move, and I get a second shot.
She has no options if she's too wide.
So if the block is not made with your feet under your hips, under your torso, and the ability to move wherever you want to move, whether it's by taking pressure off of one foot and then going to the other foot, sort of the skiing technique that Bronis was working with some time ago, whatever your movement style, you have to be able to move directionally without losing your balance. If she sells out for the block, just stay still. If she sells out for the block, then I get a second and maybe a third blow before she recovers. Okay? So she's got to be able to take the block almost in stride, as the phrase is. So say, I'm sitting up here and I'm gonna blast a flat snap, but I see that her sword's up there, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pop like this, and now she's gonna step towards me. And as she steps, I'm gonna throw the wrap, okay? I'm throwing it behind my shield because I'm protecting this arm from her counter wrap. All right? But because her feet aren't splayed out, because she's still in good position, she can take a step. So she can be like, okay, matter of course, I got his block. Okay? I got his block, and now she can do something else. Okay? Now, she probably wouldn't take that and go back, because what's going to happen if she's fighting somebody who knows at all what they're doing, that was for free, and before she can throw the counter, this is what's happening. This is coming back up to here. So she should throw an offside there, because she has now closed the distance, but she should open her shield into mine. She should open her shield into mine as she throws the offside. Okay? Now, that does two things. Opening the shield into your opponent's shield right there. It isn't a shield punch. It isn't even a press or anything else. What it does is it gives you the rotation. It gives you a nice rotation into the offside, and it makes your opponent sort of stiffen.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay? It just makes your opponent clinch up. Okay, so while as a lefty, her instinct is always to attack the open side. That is the wrong instinct, because the taller opponent gets this one for free. I get one for free. I get one shot for free. Okay? Now, because I know how to fight a lefty, I have a specific return for this shot, which is the same one that these two lefties use. I collapse the arm and bring my hand up like this. So
Do that really slow.
I collapse my, put your shield back up. I collapse my arm and bring my hand back up. My elbow moves in front of my body, and I just collapse my hand. If she throws to the shoulder now, go ahead. It's blocked. If she throws to the ribs, it's blocked. Okay? But what that also allows me to do when I'm doing that recovery is, this is where I get my offside for free. I come up, she decides to throw a flat snap.
Oh. Yep.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. She actually helps me throw the next blow if she does that. Okay? But if, as I'm recovering like this and rotating my hip back, right, because my hip came forward when I threw the wrap, if I counter back like this and I'm planning on throwing an offside, she steps in and opens her shield, open the shield, and throws the shot. Okay? She's beat me to the punch. And then, yes, and then she keeps moving. Okay? She doesn't pose to see if she got there. Now, even if, go ahead, take your card. All right? So we're back up. All right, so we're out of range. She takes that first step. Like, I flip my hand up, she takes that first step, and I blast that wrap. Okay? Now, as I recover, her feet are close enough together that she can step with her lead foot again. She's going to step with her lead foot, and then she opens her shield into mine. She's going to kick that sword foot back behind her to throw the offside. Okay?
Or kick the sword to you.
With rolling her hand over so she's not throwing flat. All right? So, even if I get off of that wrap, get back.
Hold your shield in the right position.
Even if I get off of that wrap and I'm thinking about coming over to the offside, if she comes and completes the movements, go ahead, and throws the offside, the worst that's going to happen is we're going to foul there. And if we foul there, that's why she wants to keep moving in that direction. She wants to keep going that way. By going that way, she's going away from my danger part, which is the sword, and she, as I recenter, as I reorient to her, she may get another shot off. Okay? It could be that, but more likely what's going to happen is we both pull off the offside. As I turn this way, she's going to get a shot to the inside of my thigh. She's going to get a shot to the inside of my thigh. Come back this way. She's going to get a shot to the inside of my thigh. Okay? So, if the smaller fighter, righty or lefty, if the smaller fighter can get to this shoulder, that's a nice place to be against a bigger opponent. Okay? You know, I sometimes attack. Michael used to talk to me about attacking the sword side. He's like, why do you want to go where the danger is? That's the killing part, you know. But I have some things that I like to go hard into the sword side. Probably comes from fighting lefties a lot, right? So I want to go over there and know where that thing is when I'm fighting lefties.
Now, it is the danger zone for a small fighter to get in here and stay in here. if you're not moving someplace else, all he needs to do is shrug his shoulders, and I might be knocked off my feet. He's got my shield, whatever. So I know a lot of small fighters think they want to get in here and just stand toe to toe, and it's hard to get an effective shot from here. You can also get pushed back on your butt, and it's just not. You have to be moving if you're coming through this area.
There's no corkscrewing a fighter who's standing up, who's got both legs under him.
Right.
So if Signy can move in and get to the back of this shoulder, that's an ideal place to be.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to try and change my orientation and get back in front of her, and as long as she can keep this up, she ought to keep trying to get over there.
Right.
Because it gives me a choice, right?
So take your position, Signy, get outside from him, and you can just stand there because
Are we in frame?
instead
You
of
are,
packing up
she's
high,
Yeah.
I want you to go ahead and take your stance, Cuan. Now you want to throw that blow just like you did at her, kind of low down, and just hold it there. Signy, do not move, just stand there for now. Okay. Now you're going to move in with the shield and do that, but as you step, what I want you to do is throw the wrap to the front leg, and then come up to the offside when your foot lands as you take the step as you pass. Last time you passed and threw the offside at further range. I'd like to see you throw the leg shot now and pass right into the offside.
Okay.
Boom. And then that.
Right.
Everybody see that?
I really like that as shorter fighters because it can be done right-handed or left-handed, and it really forces the taller fighter to make a couple adjustments. It's sold by the fact that he's thrown low at you, his arm's exposed, okay? By the very nature of throwing low at range, that arm, he's cognizant of it, okay? So, especially if you can just at least look at the head and throw the leg. If you look down, it goes all the way, you can't do it. Now, as you're stepping, throw the leg, but you got to hit the shield. You got to hit the shield when you throw the leg, and hit the shield when you do the back.
And just bumping the shield stops the desperation block.
Yep.
Right? I've got a small shield on my arm right now, but with that, also, if she doesn't control the shield, I can just do this.
That's right, and will.
To survive.
Yeah.
Right?
So, okay, so
So step out, Signy. He's going to throw that shot at range.
okay.
Boom.
Good.
Yeah.
Got it.
That's good, but you don't need to step that close to him
Okay.
because you're going to be passing on the left.
Make sure you turn your hand out so it's not flat.
Yeah.
You're swatting. All right? Throw the wrap down. She comes. I block it.
Yep.
Got the shield on the back.
Right.
Okay? All right, what's
Well,
next
you
on
gotta
the little
be
agenda?
moving. Yeah. So,
So what we were talking about that drove a lot of that conversation was you have to be intentional. You're not necessarily going in with a plan ahead of time. Your plan is, I'm going to make the block. I'm going to analyze what I get for free. I'm going to take advantage of that because I've logged the time on the Pell that I can throw a flat snap up and down this body very accurately. I'm going to put tape on it, make sure I can hit that tape until it's not there anymore. I'm going to practice being able to go from a leg wrap to an offside. I'm going to be able to go back and forth on the head. If we talk about the Pell in all the traditional ways, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, you've got to be able to go to all the zones, okay? At first, you're going to do it without a shield. But then you're going to have to be honest with yourself. Am I able to throw these blows and throw them accurately because I'm moving the shield out of the way? So we're going to then pick up the shield, and we're going to start doing it that way so that we know if we're opening up when we throw. Because it's easy to throw blows at a Pell at a certain point. Once you've thrown 100 a day for 10 days, you can hit it. Pick the shield up and see if you can throw the same 100 blows, keeping the shield in position. Now you're starting to get in SCA fighting shape. So that is one of the ways we work on Pell. I'm not a big advocate for putting on full armor and going to do Pell work, because one of the things I think you gain from Pell work is this. If I am capable of taking this sword and throwing the blow and making it land exactly where I want it to land, but yet when I put on my armor, I can't do that, well, I've proven to myself that I can do it. So there's something restrictive in my armor, and this is where it becomes
my part to be also intelligent. I need to look at my armor. Is it a demi-gauntlet? Is it my basket hilt? Is the handle not carved in a way that makes it work with the glove that I use? Whatever it is, you need to lose the encumbrance from the armor. I didn't say lose the protection. I said lose the encumbrance. And that's where you have to constantly work on your gear, constantly refine it. So when I said earlier, you can look at a fighter and what their armor looks like and get a really good idea for how they want to fight. Just apply that to yourself in the mirror. What are you telling other people about your style? What's your armor tell you? I mean, we all know what the guys that are really fast look like. They look like Cuan when they stand out there. They don't have a lot of armor on that right arm. They're ready for it to fly, and they're going to be holding it up. They're not going to be holding it down here.
And Anton, that's a really good point for women, and especially smaller fighters. A couple of things that ladies run into is armor that's too wide from here to here. Your chest protection gets in the way of you collapsing your arms across your chest. Sometimes your gorget might be too thick and it bites you right through here, puts you at risk. And a lot of times your hand protection is not going to be, it's going to be too large, and it keeps you from bending your wrist in every direction. So you really need to make sure you seek out the things that fit you perfectly. Like he said, if it's encumbering you, you need to get something different. And Gretter made some beautiful gauntlets for me. He had to buy different tools. He had to retool his shop so he could make smaller gauntlets to fit ladies' hands. I was in this position where I kept saying, well, I can throw this shot in practice, but when I'm on the field, I can't quite get it. And it's like, why? Because my hand protection was getting in my way.
Okay.
So you got to make sure, if something's hurting you or binding you, fix it, change it out. Don't try to make it work more.
Most of us don't really understand body mechanics until we've done it for a little while. So, you measure the distance from your wrist to where you want your elbow cup to be, and you make your first leather bracer and you put it on, and as soon as you try and throw a shot, you're eating up the inside of your wrist or the back of your hand. It's because you didn't cut your vambrace up right above the joint, right? Or you make a tight cuff on your demi-gauntlet that goes over your vambrace, and now you're locked, and your wrist doesn't have any movement. Or like I was saying in the last video we made, you make your body armor that cuts your hips in half anytime you squat or bend side to side.
Or the worst one, a set of legs that's solid all the way down to where it hits your leg or hits the top of your shoe, and the first time you do, when you flex your knees and bend down, now all your leg armor weight is riding on the top of your foot.
Right? Or you might have made leather leg armor when you were young and really excited about the SCA, and you didn't cut them up high enough on the inside of the thigh, and then you belt them on and you go walking around, and that's really uncomfortable. It's really uncomfortable not to leave yourself enough room in those regions. But anyway, I've made a lot of silly mistakes that you don't have to. When we're talking about shorter fighters, now this is true for almost anybody. If I'm fighting somebody whose hand is cocked and they're ready to throw at me, and by cocked, I don't mean like here. I mean if they're here, or they're here, or they're here, or whatever, I'm probably not going to throw the leg, right? Why? Because even if I get the wound, I may lose my arm, I may get hit in the head, okay? So I'm only going to throw the leg if I do something to freeze that hand. But as a general rule, the sequence you saw Signy and I do a minute ago, she was free as the shorter fighter to throw for my leg, because once that blow that I threw, that leg blow, lands and is intercepted by her shield, that's the beat when she can throw at my leg moving in, right? She has the time between that blow lands on her shield low and on her open side, and I collapse my hand and roll it up to do something else, anything else. It might be I collapse it up and just take it into the flat snap, but she's got that beat to do something. And Doug had her throw, inside thigh, outside thigh, doesn't matter. But inside thigh is sweeter because usually there's no armor right here.
And it's also closer.
And it's closer to
As
her.
a shorter fighter, that's what you've got to get used to targeting.
But Signy, under almost no circumstances I should think of, would Signy advance on a taller fighter whose hand's like this and throw for a leg.
Oh God, no. Yeah.
Okay, so you got to know that when the hand is, you got to know that when the hand
Flat again.
You got to know that when the hand is down, your opponent's hand is below his waist or is below the position where he can generate a shot up here. then it is safe for you to throw to the legs, right? But if he's up here and can throw to both sides of your much lower head, right, it's not a good idea to throw low.
That's what I just gave up. Yeah.
Because you're going to get hit somewhere you don't want to get hit. Okay, I'll trade a thigh for the back of her shoulder every time.
Yeah.
That'd feel good to me. Okay. So now you do not have to take a direct hit. We're talking about getting in and weathering the shot. If you're going to fight some man mountain who's just all about thunder and he's got, you know, a 2x4 with some red tape on it, but you can, you know, still got the twist from the Lowe's lumber rack on it. You know, you don't need to bore straight in. You don't need to bore straight in as he, you know, hammers your shield. You don't need to cross in front of him either. You're going to go away from the sword, and you're going to get to the shoulder. But you're not going to loop. You're not going to circle. Circling is for suckers. Circling gets you killed. Circling doesn't change the range. I can still hit you all the way around the circle. I can still reach you, right? Okay? It needs to be movement that gets you to that shoulder. Now, we can't move from a wide horse stance like we're going to come get some, right? We can start in any stance we want. I don't care what stance you start in because you're out of range, right? You're out of range. But if you want to move, what you may want to do is gather your foot. Now, how do we do that? Well, we don't pull the front foot back because our opponent sees that automatically. But if your weight is pretty evenly distributed, it's not a big deal to pull this foot to here without it being very obvious, right? And if I can pull this foot to here, then I can just take the weight off my front leg without changing my level, and then I can get to here, all right? So we bring the back foot to the front foot, and then we move again. Does everybody understand that? Other principle of movement is, especially for smaller fighters, is if I want to go that way, especially my heater fighter, which means my shield leg is usually out front, is if I want to go that way, I'm going to move this foot first. Then I'm going to reposition, okay? The reason for that is if I move the front leg first, look, I suddenly opened myself to you, right? Okay? Conversely, if I want to go that way, and I'm at range where my opponent can hit me, I'm probably not going to do this, because I'm going to get hit, right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to advance my shield leg first and gather my sword leg, okay? So I'm moving to my right as a right-hander. I'm moving shield leg first. If I'm going to move to my left, okay, that will help you stay alive. Just never breaking that rule when you're coming up will keep you alive more than about anything else. That and not throwing low when your opponent's cocked high. Those two things.
So,
You're out of frame.
I know, but I was giving you room. So we talked earlier about a lot of times, most times, the smaller fighter is going to be a counterpuncher. So earlier coming on, we talked about that you're going to make a block and then throw a blow. Or you're going to get a movement phase and you're going to be able to throw a blow. So where do you throw? We talk about analyzing it. One of the basic rules as you learn how to do counterpunching is, we call it follow the leader. Wherever I throw the blow, if I throw at Signy's leg, if she doesn't know anything else, she should throw back at my leg as a counterpuncher, okay? Where I threw at is generally going to be open. If I throw, pick your sword up. If I throw offside over, no, block it with your sword shield. If I block it over here, and then I go to throw the return, if she just follows that return with an offside, wherever I threw at, you're throwing the same thing.
Okay.
That's basic. Boom here. It helps you start to develop what do I do and start to make the reactions automatic. If I throw at her ribs, boom. Well, let me at least get in the right stance.
Yeah, okay.
Boom. And it helps you do it because now if you're just going to play follow the leader with the sword, as you practice, as you do that, you'll learn to throw a lot of different blows. But what you're really learning to do is how do you move your feet if you don't have to think about where the sword's going? How do you make sure your feet are in the right position that if I go to throw this, how are you going to throw anything?
Yeah.
You can't throw anything now. You're out of position.
Right.
Because you went defensive, you moved your feet. So now it's really no way to play follow leader. You have to get back into position and come back and do it again. If you're honest with yourself and you practice this way, and you practice slow and even fast, and even if you're going at full speed, you don't have to be throwing at full force, because the idea is to be able to try to stay out there 2-3 hours practicing so you actually get some knowledge. If you just throw as hard as you can and you stay out there 15 minutes, God, I'm tired, I'm done, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to talk for a while, or I'm hurt, I broke my armor, you're really not going to get better doing that. It takes time to do this. It takes investment like you would for any other martial art, any other sporting event, any other thing that you're committed to doing. You do it by doing it over and over again, and you start to refine the technique.
All right, Your Graces, it's 7:14. So what I thought we would do now is I'd like you guys to recap just do a quick 5-minute recap of what you've been over.
Okay.
If you guys can go over your list, and then I'm going to go over the computer, and if people want to ask questions, I will relay them to you. Remember, there's a little delay on the video. So I'll be over here at the computer looking at comments.
Okay, so what we started with was you analyze the fight to start, especially if you're the smaller fighter coming in. You're going to size up your opponent before you get into range, and you're going to figure what kind of weapons are they using? Are they a righty? Are they a lefty? What type of fighter are they? Are they a big bruiser? Are they a speed merchant? Are they somebody that's going to thrust? And then make sure that you have a good passive defense to start with. You're going to walk into range with your defense up. You're not going to be like this. You're going to be ready to start a blow, and you're going to be ready to block anything that comes at you, and you're going to be analyzing where it's most likely to come from. Keep your eye on them, keep a good stance, make sure that your feet are in the right position, that you're balanced, that you're not hunched over, and that you're just ready to block. So passive defense is that stance where you're going to pick up something, just anything that's coming at you. Hopefully you've got it covered. You can have an active defense. That's going to be blocking with your shield or blocking with your sword, and then working from there. And then once again, you're going to, as you move out of that first block, you're going to hopefully be moving further into range, and you're going to be ready for the next one. Okay? And then range control. When you're starting the fight, you're going to make sure that you're continually sizing that range, and you're trying to keep that fighter in your range. You don't want to be in their favored range. You want to be in your place to start a fight. So then you're going to continue your analysis as you go in. You're not going to have a preset combination that you want to start with. You're going to be reacting to that first shot, and then hopefully analyzing and making a plan for what's open for the next one. Don't have it set in your mind what you're going to do. You're going to have to get into the flow of the fight and make sure that you're ready with like good technique, the technique that you practice on the Pell, to throw the blow that needs to be thrown and make the block that needs to be blocked. So make sure that your feet don't get too far apart. Make sure you stay balanced, and make sure that you keep moving. Like I said, I'm scared of A range. I'm scared of his A range. And so my goal is to not stay there if I get in there. I'm going to use it. I'm going to do what I need to do. I'm going to stay in the safest spot for me. I'm going to throw the blows I can throw, and I'm going to move into a different position. I'm not going to let him set up and just push me off my feet or take advantage of the fact that I'm way too close. And then finally, what's my last one? How do you stay alive? Defense. Defense, 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 defense. That's my biggest piece of advice as a smaller fighter. You're going to counterpunch. You're going to have to work on your defense no matter what. So don't give it away. Anton?
Couple things. I think that when you practice, that's the time for curiosity, that's the time for trying, and that's the time for experimenting. If you're the less experienced fighter, seek out the more experienced fighters, tell them what you're working on. I'm trying to be able to get in range without getting hit. Let them know that's what you want to work on. Going out there and fighting every practice fight as if it is the last fight you're ever going to fight, it's probably not the shortest path to getting better. Likewise, when you go to tournament, be intentional. Your intention is to win. Go with that mindset. You may not win. You're not going to win them all, that's for sure. Nobody does. But when you go, put your best foot forward. Go with all your mindset. When you're at the tourney, when you know that you've gotten 1 or 2 rounds in and you're feeling good, watch the other fighters. You're going to have to fight one of those people. One of those people is going to be your 3rd round matchup. You might as well understand who's in your part of the list and watch them fight. See what you can learn. And then when you walk out on the field, start to assess information, start to gather information, and then when lay-on is called, be intentional. When it's time for you to go to them, go to them. When it's time for you to stay out of range, stay out of range. Don't fight with question marks, and don't fight with indecision. If you're going to be wrong all the way in. It's okay. You're going to get up and do it again. Nobody dies for real. Sometimes it feels like it, though. You got anything for us, Your Grace?
If there are any questions out there, there is a delay on the video. We got about 19 people watching right now. We will post this. I think I have to do something after we quit the live video to post it, but I'll make sure it stays on the site. If anybody has any questions they'd like to type in, we'll take them as a panel. Go ahead, type away. As I said, there's a little delay. If we don't see anything come through in a minute, we'll shut her down.
Thank you all.
Yeah, thanks everybody.
Tell you what, while we're looking, Deb, you want to watch for questions here in the comment section?
I can see them on this one.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. If you don't watch comments, I'm gonna take this. I'm gonna take this little tool that Bronos likes and bring it up here where people can see it if they want to.
Question: are there plans for the shield holder for Pell work from
No.
Rob Maling?
No, but Rob, I'll tell you what I did. I had 2x2 and deck screws. And so what I did was I figured out how much material I had, and I cut these. These are about 2 foot. The 2 feet are about 2 feet. I made a couple to go across it. I think what I had left was about 20 inches. So I made 2 stretchers to go across. I had a little stop here to strengthen this. I put 2 screws through the stop, 1 screw through the center post that goes up. I made sure the center post was about, I don't know, 5'10" or so, something like that. And then I put a wood screw here in the front if I want to hang a shield strap. And you can put wood screws all over this to hang different kinds of shields in different positions. I gave it a little bit of a back angle, and then I just cut my braces accordingly and literally just screwed them into the feet, just sort of toe screwed them into the feet. And that's it. I made the base wide enough to go around the base of my Pell, to sort of tuck in, because we got this Pell like this, so I can tuck it around here. If I were doing it again, I'd get more material and make it a little wider, so it could go all the way tighter. But that's it. There is no plan, because I just gathered some scrap together and made like an easel, basically. And in this configuration, I can just take the shield's hand strap and rest it. I can either rest it if they're going really high.
I think if you showed the handle on the other end, they'd be able to see how you're hanging it.
Yeah, I can hang it on that pin there, like that. So I have a wood screw right here. And then if guys fight really flat shieldy, right? I can try and set it up more like this.
Well, it was more flat when you had
Or I can
the
hook this-
handle over it also.
Yeah, I mean I can put this.
The forearm
I
guard.
put the forearm guard there, make it flatter. If they're open shieldy or they put the front edge forward, and I'm working on getting that leg, I can hang it like that. And then I can if if I want to fight shorter opponents, I can put it down there. And if they hold the shield flat, now I'm never going to hit this because I'll smash this to pieces. I'm hitting the Pell behind it. The point is to get around the defense, right? And so that's nice. I mean, if you want to practice a one-shot, people who like to start in your range, this is nice. Because I can set this up in front of the Pell and take one step with a flat snap and hit whatever target I want to, and have the shield there to visualize the angles that I need to get around and the space between the shield and the guy's helmet and all that. And it really helps me with the shot that I throw that cuts where I'm in front of the shield, but my shot cuts behind the shield corner, but it looks like it's blocked, because if it was just thrown like that, it would be blocked, but instead, it whips down behind the, see that? My hand goes past, and it whips down behind the shield corner, and hits the guy behind it.
Boy, for a Duke,
Okay.
you're a pretty good carpenter.
Yeah, for a lawyer, I'm a pretty good carpenter. All right, so that's that. Any other questions?
Nope, a lot of them are just saying thank you. Branos, Iron Guardile
Bronze, yeah.
Ramos?
says thank you, just seeing how you made it with lots of thought
He's a
about
pretty
your
big
pill,
deal.
which helps a lot. Thanks from Rob.
Turn it off.
Okay.
All right, thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.